770-488-6484. Come on in and check out Pink Ice products today.
Didn't get a chance to tune in last week? Well, here's what you missed on the Artist Exchange radio show.
Being a stage actor, how has that prepared you for comedy?
Oh, man. I think that being a thespian definitely gave me a head start and an advantage over most of the guys that just go right into comedy. I mean, it definitely helps with stage presence, memorization. Just, you know, a lot of comedians in the city, they don't consider every aspect of the performance, like what you're wearing, you know, how you say certain words, and being a stage actor, like I definitely, I'm thinking about every part of the joke when I write it or when I perform it. You know, like I try to do it as a performer without looking too stagey.
Tune in every Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. and every Saturday 12 to 2 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com. This is the Artist Exchange. Real artists, real talk.
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange radio show.
Football, you basically have a good 10 to 12 years, and that's what it is.
When you have a lot of people retiring early, it's funny, a lot of me and my alumni from UVA, where I graduated from, one of our fellow Wahoos, he retired yesterday, 32 years old. To Brickashaw Ferguson, and he's been in the league like 10 or 12 years. So like you said, a lot of guys are making that change on their own now because they're seeing a lot of things from the concussion movement,
right,
stuff that's been happening. Is not the noun, it's the effects later, because you see different stories of men are in like their 50s and some are committing suicide because of the bang.
Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Starts now. Welcome to the Artist Exchange radio show today. We are repping Coppin players today. If you don't know what a Coppin player is, it is Coppin State University's theater department. Urban art and production is the major, which encompasses many different forms of the arts. We had an awesome visual art / photography department headed by, I'm going to say, Linda Day Clark. But we have a visual art instructor as well, and I can't really think of her name right now because she failed me. But we also had a dance department, which is phenomenal, which was led by the phenomenal Professor Jackson. I don't think that's her name, but we could go with Professor Vanessa Jackson today. Who else? Fix my mic. Is it too high? Oh, right here. So, and of course, the theater department. Coppin State University has gone through a lot of changes, and it's just starting to get its foot in the door in terms of financial commitments from the state and the city. So you see a lot of new buildings starting to come up and new things that we didn't have when I was at Coppin. But it's cool.
Didn't they just get like a football team for real not too long ago?
Yeah, they have I believe a Division 1 or Division 3. 3 is the highest, right?
You don't get me lying. I think it's D1 more than anything.
Yeah, because it's beginning. Yeah, so it's Division 1 football team. We've had a phenomenal women's basketball team that's been very consistent. But our gentlemen, they, especially at MEAX, they normally show out and show up. But our women's team is much more consistent. Winners.
I had a friend and she became Miss Eagle, actually.
What was her name?
Maisha Peacock.
I remember Maisha.
Yeah.
I think she does in Atlanta or something like that now.
I think so. I don't know if she's back in Baltimore, but she might be.
Yeah, I remember Maisha.
She's a chef now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I remember she's a model.
Yep.
She was one of my first models for my jewelry line. Shout out to her. And another Coppinite, I cannot remember people's names. This is crazy. But she was one of my first models.
Yeah, she was that military, all that.
I didn't know all that.
Yeah,
I didn't know all that. We didn't really, share our past stories and stuff. But yeah, so there are plenty of Coppin players, but not all of them went to Coppin State University. A lot of them were like honorary members. Shout out to Professor Courts. She retired from Coppin a few years back, and she was good at bringing people in and making you feel not so much that you were on a plantation. That was the joke. But she kept her company. Like, she had a company of actors that always worked with her, that always did her shows. She really introduced me to theater in Baltimore in terms of introducing me to arena players, which introduced me to like my best friend Jana that may be calling in lately. Soon that actually helped me start the Artist Exchange, which introduced me to this group out of Towson State University, Coumba, which then branched me out. So it was like a trickling down effect. So I was already doing acting prior to coming to Coppin, but I didn't really do black theater because I didn't know about it. But it introduced me to black theater. But today, that's what it's going to be about. We have a couple people coming through. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but when they show up, we'll interview them, and that'll be it. I had a sidebar conversation, but it just jumped out of my head. I should have said it when
it just jumped.
Yeah, it did.
Like off the cliff. Ah!
Right. Oh, Hollywood. So, don't forget, September the 9th, we're celebrating our 3rd anniversary here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Like I said, all the shows that are coming up, leading up to the 9th, are shows that kind of made and a part of what the Artist Exchange either means or kind of homage to the individuals and organizations that kind of help the Artist Exchange get to this point and even exist. Shout out one to Miss China. She was here 2 weeks ago. She got to come in, and she's actually the reason that we're here at Be Exposed Radio. China, Miss Natasha Henderson. She has since moved on. She used to have a show here, and we work together. And then shout out to, who else I want to shout out to? Jana for helping me start. We actually talked this morning. She used to be like my saving grace every morning, but I actually woke up late this morning. And it was crazy because I went to bed really late, and I said, no, I'm not going to go to bed real late because then I'm going to wake up late, and I don't want to do that. And, but I woke up, I jumped up, and the clock said 10 o'clock on the dot. And actually probably a couple minutes before 10 because I instantly got up, put the shower on, grabbed my clothes, and put everything in order. And then when I came back, it said 10 o'clock. So I was really appreciative. And I was moving kind of slow, but I still managed to get here one time.
Man, I woke up. I was just like,
wow.
I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I ain't go to sleep till about like 7.
Well, if you go to bed on time, how you go to bed at 7 and expect
man,
to get up?
I was up, editing and whatnot, so I was just...
You gotta make a schedule. You can't just work until you drop.
Well, I mean...
Like, that doesn't make you productive for the next day. Does this go to sleep? When you feeling like that, you're no good for the work that you're trying to do. So you should just go to bed. I've learned that. Like, just go to bed. Like, because you're setting yourself up for failure for the next day. Because then you're running late the next day. Then what happens, you stay up late the next day, try to get stuff done that you got to get done for that day or you didn't get done the day before. So you just go to bed. And I'm one to talk, but if you just go to bed...
He was just saying he was just up.
But I can't force myself to go to sleep. True. Like, you sitting there nodding off. Like, you got to... Like,
I set up. And got it done,
Did you wake up in that same position this morning?
No. I woke up comfortable. I just don't remember. I was just out, and then, yeah.
Narcolepsy.
A little
but
bit.
Shout out to the many individuals, Coppinites, Coppin players that have supported the show and me in these last 3 years. I really appreciate all the support that we continuously get, that we continue to get from everyone and every body that not only comes on the show, but it's a lot of people that watch the show, that tune into the show, that sends me encouraging words or critiques or whatever have you. Today, Mr. Brown is coming in. His name is actually James Brown. So he'll be here shortly. Right. So he'll be here shortly. And Mr. Brown is definitely, wow. Out of all the professors that I've had at Coppin, he was the only one that actually comes out to your shows and supports. The first show I ever did that I directed on my own, like he brought lights, like real lights, not like these clip-on lights, but like the tree with the lights and set it up. So we had, the set was garbage, but the lights on point, definitely. And he ran the lights, so like Mr. Brown is definitely a supporter. Another young lady that's supposed to be stopping by is Miss Naima. Miss Naima is everything PR and marketing, and she'll be coming by. She actually came by before. She's been here recently. They did a boat cruise. I think you were here. She did a boat cruise, and we helped them to promote it. But yeah, so it's plenty of different people. I think my friend Riga's gonna call in when she rolls out of bed. She's in New Orleans, so they're an hour behind us.
Right.
But Riga is still in last night. She's turning into an old lady. She's a happy hour lady, so she'll be. Riga's the comedian though, so we can't really like go toe for toe with her because that's what she lives for.
Okay.
So we don't.
Don't step on those toes.
Yeah, I don't do that. Shout out to the guest that has been on here the most times, and a lot of these things, like there'll be awards on the day of the anniversary, but because he's like a fellow Coppinite, but he also abandoned us to go to Morgan.
Oh, word.
And he finished at Morgan, but he got his start.
He became a bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, boo-boo.
But Kyle was he was on my test show. He wasn't on the very first show, but he's been here more times than any other person ever. Like when I didn't have a guest, I would call Kyle, and Kyle would come on. Kyle would call in. Kyle would come in. Kyle would come from DC. Like he would come down here to the show on a Saturday morning from DC to support. So he's been on the show more times than any other guest, like ever. Like the fact that my test show was horrible. And when we do our test shows here, it's normally just the host and your engineer. So you could be in here like winging it. And that's what I did. And I had everything planned out. I had right now I write a script and I remember it. So I know everything that I want to say.
Right.
But then I used to write everything down, and I literally read everything off of my sheet in 10 minutes. An hour, so however long your show is on this station, you do half of that.
Okay.
You do half of that for your test show. I did everything in the first 10 minutes. The first segment is 15 minutes. It's always been 15 minutes.
Like, well, that's what I got for today.
Robbie was my engineer at the time, and Monty was outside, and he was talking to Monty, and I thought he was talking to me. And in that moment, I got distracted, and when I looked back down, I realized there was nothing else for me to read. And the first thing I said was, "Oh shit." And I said it, and I didn't realize we were live, and it was just a lot. But then we went to break. I made it through the last 5 minutes, and Marnie must have saw Kyle and the other young man Terrence outside, and was like, "Well, if you want to bring your friends in, you can bring your friends in," because I was bombing completely. Now I can do a show by myself, literally by myself, and just talk for the whole time. Now I can do it. But that day and probably days subsequently after that, it wasn't possible. Because I thought I was trying to be so anal retentive, and that doesn't work for me. I have to, like, have bullet points and stuff like that. Like, I probably was like a comedian in my past life. But I definitely have learned how to do it. And the theater training has helped me to do that. Because you got to have a focus, you got to know what you're saying, and you just have to organize it. And then you can go off script slightly, but not to the point where it's a totally different conversation that you're having. So I'm good at that now. But today's show is definitely all things Coppin. I learned a lot from Coppin, good, bad, and the gray area as well. But it has all helped me and prepared me and encouraged me to actually be as independent, as open to change and opportunity. At Coppin, we're UAP majors, urban art and production. So we're basically chameleons in the world of the arts. We all do. If you meet 5 different urban art majors, we all are going to say it means something totally different, because that's how the department was set up. We have a theater track, but when you get accredited for certain majors and departments, you can't have the same major within a certain area. And Morgan already had a theater department. Towson has a theater department. So it's kind of different in terms of how it is structured. But it is definitely kind of a little bit of everything. And you've probably met a couple different Coppinites, and they're all completely different.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just all actors or all singers and all dancers that came out there. Like, everybody does, like, something different. Maisha, she was a part of the major for a second. I think she did, like, combined studies. But she was more on, I don't think she ever did acting or anything like that, but she always participated backstage. But like, I did the behind the stage, and then I eventually got on stage, and then like curating, I was interested in that. So I've had many different fields, and all of us are made up of something different, and we were able to take what we naturally have and what we wanted to do and combine that. And we didn't have to fill into a certain mold. But we're here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't go anywhere.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Check out this snippet from the new season of Talk Lately with Monty when he rants about his staff.
Great. Can you come on. I told you stop touching that button. Why is it so loud? God. Did you turn one all the way up again? Do I have to come in there? God damn her. If it was going right, I would let you do your part, but I'm sorry, but it's just not functioning the way it's supposed to be. I told you about your business.
Well, Monty, if I can comment on the Jennifer Holiday situation, I know I'm live on the air. I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay. I know I'm live on the air. This is why this whole show is called Talk Lately.
Anyway, let's get back to every Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice Products can cover you from head to toe, from flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia. Or give us a call at 470-488-6484. Come on in and check out Pink Ice Products today.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org.
That's the biggest thing, is just empowerment. Just get off of the begging line. Just be proud and just get our pride and our dignity back, because as a child, we're taught how to go and beg for a job. Our parents, they literally taught us how to make sure you pull your pants up. Me, I'm 6'7", so I'm a bigger man. I was always taught how to not be threatening or intimidate people when I go into different interviews or different scenarios. And so we're literally taught how to condition ourselves, condition our speech, everything, in order to go and beg these people for a job, because we know when we walk in the door, I have to tear down 10 stereotypes before I get past hello. So we need to eliminate that. You know, and we need to eliminate that, and the way that we do that is employing ourselves and employing our brothers and sisters. And so that's our mission, is group economics, uplift ourselves, because I can't empower anyone until I empower myself, and change from just being willing, because it's in my heart and my passion to see my people succeed and see us do better and change the social order, because I know that we are not supposed to be on bottom. I understand who I was. I know I didn't fall out of the sky and land on a plantation. So when you have knowledge of self and you know who you are and what you come from, it's frustrating more than anything to see us in this position.
Tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Saturday 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live on BigExposeRadio.com.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice products can cover you from head to toe, from flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia. Or give us a call at 470-488-6484. Come on in and check out Pink Ice products today.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. It's me, your host, Nate. I have Hollywood over here. I think he's like watching porn or something.
I am now. No.
Sweet Baby has joined us, Miss Zakiya.
Hey, happy Saturday.
And the hardest working man in the Baltimore scene is Mr. James Brown, and he's joined us. I was just telling people before you got here, you were really instrumental in keeping my sanity and keeping me busy at Coppin. I wasn't the best student, but I was hardworking. I can say that at least. And I think Mr. Brown will say the same thing. I was somewhat hardworking in the department. I didn't always do my best in class because I like being in the department better. But it does count. Technically it does, because we were a performance major, so that was half of the battle. I just had to make sure I was showed up for class time too. But Mr. Brown, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
So what's new with you?
Just getting ready for the new school year. I just came back from the National Black Theater Festival.
Oh, wow.
So, that's something that if you're an African American actor, you need to go down to Winston-Salem at least once. So next year is it's every 2 years, right? Yeah. So the next festival, which will be in 2 years,
in 19,
I'm going to be working with some folks that take a bus trip down to Winston-Salem and try to do one that might be a little more student-oriented, because a lot of the folks that go on the bus that goes down are some of our older theater patrons, and maybe if there's a second bus, I can encourage.
It's very affordable because you get 2 years to actually plan.
Right. And so it's going to be fun. Then also with me, I also attend a conference called Black Theater Network, which is theater educators who come together to talk about issues around African American theater, how to teach it, new things that are coming through, how to incorporate what students are experiencing in the world now into theater. So obviously that means there's a lot more hip hop and spoken word. And addressing the issues that affect the students today. You know, even if someone does approach slavery or Jim Crow, it's done with a completely different twist to it. So that's what
scary.
But
that's a backlash waiting to happen.
Yeah, but it is something that's very popular, and a lot of playwrights are making their living at it. So I hope that folks expose themselves to be exposed to as many things as possible in the theater, because there are conferences that happen in D.C. I don't think they had the Black Theater Festival this year.
Yes, the last 2 years they haven't had it.
Yeah, so, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to come back in some way, shape, or form. We know how our black things come back with a different name. First it's AFRAM, then it's African American Festival, then it's Black African Theater Festival, and you know. So.
I think they're just working on the organization of it because they started big,
right?
And they actually, I think some of the organizer of it came from the National Black Theater Festival. So I think they're working on configuring it because it just was so spread out in Maryland that it just, I think everybody could not get to everything. So I think they're trying to.
One of the things that people want to duplicate from the theater festival in Winston-Salem is, well, they have a hub. They have one place where you can go and find out everything. Across the street from there, you can get all your tickets. And then from there, they have shuttles to take you to the theater, so you don't have to worry about parking or even traveling to the different theaters.
Because everything isn't right there at the hub sometimes.
Right. So, and then the other things that they have with the playwriting, they have a lot of readers theater. They have workshops for actors. So trying to duplicate something where you have an and there's one organization that sponsors that.
The school. It's the school, right?
No, it's Lord. It'll come back to me. But when you have one organization that can funnel everyone's energies, as opposed to many other festivals, you put a committee together, and it's the committee that's doing everything. They don't have a host theater or a host organization to move forward all the agendas, how to, you know, they work with a lot of celebrities from all over the world, trying to pull all of that together and not have a place where you can go and get photocopies made, or back in the day, you know, when you needed a fax machine, you could say, go to the host theater, and they would take care of many of those details. And it's just grown so that the host theater doesn't have all the responsibilities anymore, but they do. They're still the impetus for everything. They're the ones that start everything. And when the founder, Larry Leon Hamlin, passed away, again, it didn't fall apart because it had foundation.
And that was the last year that I went. Was the year that he passed away, it was different that year because I had went not the year before, but the year prior to the one prior to that. So it was a different feel, but it definitely still maintained. And it's because it's just not finding venues. And I think a lot of festivals that are starting now, they think it's just find as many venues as you can, but it definitely needs to be organized and central, and then you can branch out and do all the different spaces. But that's definitely something that I think everybody should go to. And a lot of students that I meet, I got to go because of an organization I was with, but a lot of students haven't taken advantage of that. And it's not just the 70s actors. it's really a lot of people there. They are the bulk of the people that you go find there.
Right.
But you get to really meet them and talk to them, and just don't plan to sleep that week. Like you just not go to sleep, because aside from all the shows, there's stuff going on during the daytime, and then at night you could like be in, you know, somebody from Good Times hotel room reading their script that they wrote or something like that. But
Right.
you just never know who you're gonna actually meet, and if you're in the theater or anything connected to theater.
Right.
I think when I went the first time, I was really into costuming, and one of the theaters that did the tickets, where it was the central hub for the tickets, like they normally clean out their costume room at that time.
Right.
So I got all this fabric and all this like costume pieces, and I was like, what am I gonna do with it? Nobody wanted it. I couldn't necessarily take it to Coppin, but I had all this stuff like in my apartment, but they were like cleaning out there, so you never know what you're gonna run into doing something like that.
Also, Tamil Robinson, he was a former person we interviewed on the radio. He's an international designer, and he said that we need more stronger black unions for the arts that focus strictly on the logistics of these types of events, so they can function annually. You know, and I do agree with them on that.
And this be long standing, and I think one of the I'll go back to in terms of doing theater. I'll connect it to, I went to a workshop at Morgan, and it was a young lady who wrote the book on the black acting styles, and it was crazy that nobody ever thought to do that before or put it in the book, because we learn about all like Czech and all those different learning styles and individuals that created these methods, and it was black acting methods. And she put it into a book and was able to, and me going through the book, it was stuff that we've already did, stuff that I learned from Professor Courts or Down Arena Players or from Kaumba, but nobody ever thought to encapsulate that and put it into a book where we could have it as a learning tool. So we're not just learning what it is, because I think, like you said, taking slavery and making it something that's connected to what this generation's experience is totally different than our parents, who were more connected to their parents. Whereas though it's a bigger gap now. I just did Insurrection, and when I say the older black people that came to see Insurrection were totally against it. Like they didn't, they were, and if you've never seen Insurrection, it's this young gay man who travels back in time and meets Nat Turner at some point in view, and then one of him and other slaves have some type of intimate connection. And when I say it was older black women that came to see this and were like, the theater that we were in was as big as this room. And they was like, this is horrible. This is bullshit. Like, this is, I'm not. And they would get up and walk out, but it is our perspective on what we think would happen if we went back in time. It wasn't, even though an older man, Robert O'Hara, wrote that. He wrote it from a perspective of a millennial. Like, what would happen if this person went back in time and to the insurrection, and what would that engagement be? And I just remember telling Kyle, like, I'm not inviting certain people to this, because do you think we should do this in Philly or somewhere where it's more progressive? I don't think Baltimore is necessarily the place. But some people took it, but then like the older people, they were totally against it because they didn't see how that made sense.
Well, as an older person, I enjoyed it. I like new works, and I like things from different perspectives, and I'm not closed-minded. And it's not to keep talking about the theater festival, but when you go there and you can see the whole gamut of theater, then it was an opportunity for me to see a lot of different kinds of theater and see works by up-and-coming playwrights. So
you see classics already scripted up into something that was just written.
And then the Reader's Theater is where you really get to see and hear some of the new works that are coming around. And some of these works, I can't necessarily say which ones, but a number of them do come out of the theater festival, and people produce them at their theaters. So it's also an opportunity for playwrights, for them to take their works there, to get it into the Reader's Theater series, or even just get like Nate said, get a hotel room, get somewhere, and bring some actors together.
You'll meet people, and they'll be like, hey, you want to read this theater? And some of them are scheduled, and some of them are very impromptu. Some wine and...
I did that for D. Carter.
Yeah.
He had a play that needed to be read, and he had asked the theater festival if it could be produced. Unfortunately, they had other plays that they wanted to do more so than his, but I found a space, found some actors, had it read.
And it could be that easy depending on how comfortable you are with yourself and introducing yourself to people.
We talked yesterday about like newspaper and print work going into being obsolete and being taken over pretty much by like the technological age. Do you feel like theater is in that same category with the analog group of entertainment for people now? Like, is theater dying? Is it on its deathbed? Or do you think that right now we're coming into like a artistic renaissance where new life is being breathed into all of these things that people have, like, in my personal experience, people have been like turning their nose up at stuff like the arena plays and different theater plays and things like that. So do you think that theater is dying off?
Not at all, and especially once you go to the theater festival. And one of the blessings of it being every 2 years is you don't get burnt out by it. 'Cause it is a process. You have to, like Nate said, you don't get a lot of rest. You don't get a lot of sleep. I couldn't do that every year. But once you go there,
you still recuperated from it.
Right. Once you go there, you just seeing so much good work and meeting people that have a passion for it. I think that there's a place for everything. And so I wouldn't take anything away from those that want to do things using digital technology, doing live things, different shows that people create and have online. I think that that's part of it. One of the things that many people don't realize is not everybody just gets up and starts doing those things. Many of those people do come from theater.
Right.
So it would be impossible for it to die, because then you might not have those shows.
Right.
Where do they get their training? Where do they get their interest? I have a nephew, plug-in Jerry Brown Jr., who has a movie, a short film that will be coming out at some point. He is surviving as an actor in New York because he took everything that he learned in theater, and he has been working as a technician. He's going to his auditions and things like that, but he's also using those skills to make his film. So in this business, in theater, I think that you learn what performing is about. Those that survive in this business become performers and not just a stage actor.
Right.
You, in order for you to be successful, you have to absorb all of it. I do a lot of different things. I'm an actor, and I hadn't been on stage in a long time, and I got talked into it last year. And I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed getting back on the boards, as they say.
You missed it when you sitting up in that booth and you watching people do it.
Especially when you see people who you know you could do it better. Your ego kind of goes. Your ego kind of goes. Oh, especially if it's someone that's lazy. I don't in my mind compete against regular actors.
Right.
But somebody that's lazy, that doesn't learn lines, that doesn't get to rehearsals on time, that just brings all this drama and angst to a production. Oh,
well,
yeah.
That's an actor. Like, every actor. But it's being in theater, unlike TV and film, it's more like a sports team, and you'll be sitting on the bench, and you're trying to, like, you want to get in there and help out. You want to, fix things, or you want to just do it better than that person. Like, I was forced, kinda, because I really wanted to do stage, but I was forced really to do the backstage, and I think it was just my time to wait. And I have such an appreciation for all the different components of theater because of Mr. Brown and Professor Courts, like just giving me that side of it, and then you understand why it's important or why Mr. Brown keep yelling from the booth that's getting your light. You understand those things because somebody took the time to design all those different aspects, and it's not just your spoken word that is the most important part of it. So you learn all those different parts.
Right, and
but the dance on Widow's Row, you kind of had a lot of fun on stage in that. You did really well.
That was my first time having fun on stage.
I enjoyed your performance in that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. See, some people watch me on, but for me being an actor, I always took it seriously since I got to Coppin, because prior to that, I only did quote-unquote white musicals. So me being introduced to it, I probably took it more seriously than a lot of my friends who had already been doing it and they were used to doing it. But I took it seriously because I was learning at the same time. Like, I didn't know who August Wilson was prior to coming to Coppin, and I felt embarrassed by that. I felt really, like, outside of the loop where people knew his work like the back of their hand, or, you know, doing plays that I had no frame of reference for. Like, I knew what a Damn Yankees or 42nd Street was, but I had no idea what a Dance on Widow's Row was, or some of the plays that we got to do. And at Coppin, we had a different experience at some point because we started getting to meet the actual playwrights, and I think that made all the difference to me, because at one time, even doing people's work, these people were dead and gone years before doing some of those musicals, but actually getting to sit down and maybe having a conversation with them made all the difference in the world, because then you learned what their work was, but then you got to meet the person who actually created it. And I think, what's his name, who wrote Dance on Widow's Row, meeting him was really like larger than life, but he was like a regular person. You just expected for him to come in there with all this pomp and circumstance, but he really was just an old dude that just he was cool. Yes. But that was my experience at Coppin, like really meeting all the different areas of the theater, not just here's your script, because I'm still learning the learning lines part, but that's still a journey. But still just getting to meet people. Over the years, you've seen several different people come and go, especially from Coppin, but you do AXO, your arena players, and you still help out with other theater companies. Like, what has kept you doing this? Because it can't be the money. So what's kept you doing it?
It's almost like it's because I can't do anything else. I tell people that I started in the performing arts as a model. My mother in church would do what they call Tom Thumb weddings. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this format, but basically it's where you take all the kids in the church and you put on a mock wedding, and it's not just one bride and groom. It's a bunch of flower girls and a bunch of ring bearers and a bunch of groomsmen, and it's a lot of work because they have to make all the tuxedos and all of the gowns. Oh, wow. And it's really pageantry. It's not really theater. Yeah. That's why I jokingly refer to it as my modeling gig, my big modeling gig at 3 years old. And I remember being part of that to this day, and I had my one little moment to walk down the aisle, and then after that I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to help my mother to put it together. And in all the years many years after that, as the theater director at our churches, when we changed church, she went to the next church and started working with the children's ministry, started doing plays, and that made me that's how I got my interest in wanting to do performing, because in church, as you know, often it's more pageantry than it is just theater or dance. Yeah.
That's where the Lord Have Mercy plays came from.
Right. But even if what you would do in children's ministry was more skits.
Yeah.
So you would do smaller scenes, and they would be all linked together, and they're all about praising the Lord, worshiping the Lord, and then you break out into a dance, and then you break out into a song, and and then you break out into an offering, and then so you eat. And then you eat. So that's I haven't done anything else in my life. I've worked as a waiter. I've worked as a host. I did that at the Hausner's restaurant, which was a German restaurant in East Baltimore, in Highlandtown, of all places. And being an African American host at a German restaurant in a very white neighborhood,
Mr. Brown is just difficult like that. He's purposely sought out that specific opportunity.
And the work, it was at that time an extremely popular restaurant, family owned, and people would come from all over the world to come there. And I had to earn my way there. But even that was about performing, because I put on that mask as the host and greeted folks, and sometimes they would purposefully stand to the side to wait until another host that didn't look like me seated them. If that's what you want, you're here to eat. You're not here for me to go, you should join the NAACP. No, that wasn't my job. That wasn't my job. My job was to just let you come in, sit, eat, have a good time, whatever you want to do. So, like I said, I perform, I do the tech, I have directed. I enjoy it, and until I stop enjoying it, if you don't like this, I hear people who are miserable in this business, and I'm like, go do something else.
Right.
You can pull up YouTube videos to learn how to make shoes. Go make shoes. Go do something different.
But you have to want it.
Get off the stage, get away from the theater, and keep that negative energy around.
You have
away
to
from
definitely want it. You have to. This has to be like your life source, and it's most times. And I've tried to like sit in on a wire or the homicide, as a bum on the side. I've tried, and it's not for me. Theater specifically, you have to want it. Because the job is getting the job, and then while you're working the job, once you got it, you got to be thinking about the next one, and it really can be, throughout my 20s, I was burnt out a lot because I didn't know how to organize the time. I didn't know how effectively to use my time, but in all the students that you've worked with over the years, like, I'm not going to say who your favorite because I already know who that is. But between me and Tanelia, I think that's kind of the thing. But what have you seen, like, as far as growth or potential, or, like, do you know talent, or do you see it, or how do you, encourage people to move forward?
Yes, I can see when somebody has the leaning, has the interest, and can eventually decide that they want to focus a good portion of their life to theater. And you can see it when somebody comes in, and they don't always come in being the most cooperative or being the most studious.
Finding people in my head is going down.
There are folks that will come into theater, no matter where you do theater. They come into the process, and some of them maybe have some experience, but you can see in them that they enjoy it. The question is, how do you pull out of them, or pour? You pull out of them by pouring into them, and you have to, as a mentor, look at a person and say, this person needs this. Not everybody needs the same thing.
Right.
Some people do want that hands-on, motherly, fatherly, lovey. They need that kind of love in their life. Some people want it more intellectually. You need to stimulate their mind. Some people want to be physically active. They want you to keep them involved in things. So you have to observe them. You have to listen to them. Mm-hmm. That's probably the one trait that makes a real theater professional somebody that you would want to work with, is do they listen to you? If you have somebody that you're working with, I know there are many directors that it's about them, and it doesn't matter what you say, it's about them and how they want things done, but they miss out on the opportunity of getting a jewel out of someone.
Right.
Everybody has something beautiful that they can express, and sometimes somebody is a one-trick pony, and maybe even one time. Sometimes a person will go through their life and they'll get to a point where they do that one show. That's the maximum. They're done. And you have to recognize that, because if you keep pushing them to do theater, do anything, it doesn't matter what the craft is.
I met this guy. He was at Coppin with us, and I remember it was this elective for him, and he did something from The Rain Man, and Professor Quartz fell in love. He was African, and he did like the Stella scene, and it was like she fell in love with him, and he did Before His Home. He was like the double cast of Before, and he loved it. And I met him maybe like 2 years ago, and I said, "So I know you're doing acting." He was like, "That was it for me. Like I just like the work that it took." And he was like, he's like going to med school, so that's totally like left brain. Like, but he was like, "I've never done a play since, and I never want to do another play again." And I was like, I just know, like he had memorized the whole movie, and I just was like, I think it was like Streetcar Named Desire, something like that. But he was phenomenal. He was really. We all were like, the students that wanted to be actors was so jealous, because this man had never did this before. That was just his favorite movie, and that's what he did in the class. And we like, man, we sitting up here studying, and it just come natural to him. His accent, nothing got in the way. And he said, I'd never want to do that again. Like, that's not...
Wow.
Thanks for the opportunity, but I never want to do that again. He just couldn't take that being like daily. So I got to keep doing this. So the job is to find another opportunity to do this. I can't just do the same thing for the rest of my life. Right. No, you got to constantly, some plays on Broadway go for 10, 20 years. Others go for 6 months. Right. It's that long. So you have to continuously keep changing. It's not going to ever be the same.
Nope.
So unless you become a teacher, and but depending on what student you get, it's going to be, different. So we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Hey everybody, check out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired Radio Show.
I'm just thankful this year I've dealt with, some growing pains, and I've overcome some things, and I've also, accomplished some things in the process. I've learned some things. Like, I've learned I learned that everybody loves your work until they got to pay for it. That's what I learned. That's what I learned. I learned everybody loves what you do. Is it really about the pay? I mean,
not always.
Listen, the Bible says money answereth all things.
Well,
okay, and there is a place. There is a place where finances is necessary. And when you got kids, and when you got a wife, and then you doing everything, and you top dog at what you do, especially when you weren't in the same place like with this radio show, you ain't in the same place you were a year ago. Should nobody be coming on the show and not donating to your show?
Can you say that on my show?
Should nobody be coming to your show?
Can you say that in the middle of the live?
Make that a promo, please.
Should nobody come on this show without donating?
That is a nice commercial.
I don't care if it's $20.
Donate.
Tune in to Be Inspired every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice products can cover you from head to toe. From flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia. Or give us a call at 470-488-6484. Come on in and check out Pink Ice Products today.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. It is Coppin Day, Urban Art and Production major.
Hey, Coppin.
Sitting in front of me, I was really trying to find my Coppin Player t-shirt, but I don't know what I did with that shirt. I kind of probably...
He lost it.
I did. No, I have a lot of clothes and costumes, and I didn't feel like it. I woke up late. That was my problem. I should have got it last night. But I am a Coppin player, proud and true. And before me right now sits Mr. James Brown, the hardest working man in the theater scene. He actually manages the events at Coppin State University.
In the auditorium.
In the auditorium. But also, you know, the stuff that happens. For sound and setting up, sound and staging. You help out with graduation every year?
Yes.
Like, he's very modest, but he does a lot. He's not just in the auditorium, but he definitely is a big help to the Urban Art and Production major at Coppin. I learned a lot about being patient, because I just wanted to do the show. I never liked the sitting around waiting part, and you gotta do this. And
impatient.
Yeah, I just didn't. I tried. So I think the only thing that I never did, and I don't know if this was a Mr. Brown thing, but I never ran lights and sound a couple times. But I just didn't have the patience for that. Like, I got to sit here. Maybe in rehearsal I'll do it. But I just never got to that part. But building sets, costume, a little bit of the design. I've had, what's his name, Ayanna Downs on a couple times, and I learned a lot from him. Just artistically, I used to stay behind when he was like there at midnight and watch him build the sets, and he's become a really good person I could go to in terms of that. But learning different aspects, and I'll ask you. So what was your, if you could remember back that far, because I just realized that was like over 10 years ago. In terms of me, it's not like, you know, pat Nate on the back day, but you can be honest. But it is my show. I'm just going to say that. But in terms of like somebody like myself, like when you first met me to like today, what do you see like differently in me? Or you can talk about any of the students really, but you know, I was just curious because I never asked those questions. Like, what do you think about me, Mr. Brown?
You listen a lot better. I think that because I you can't develop patience if you don't listen, and I think that because you also were there during a transition.
Because urban art is still new, relatively new.
But also, while you were there, we had Katrina happened, and we had students come in from out of state, and we had Wambui come in as a director, and these were all new even for me. That we had just usually our urban arts majors come in a little bit at a time. We had 7 students come in, and you have to give work to all of them.
And we were still small. It was only a handful of us to begin with, and then we like doubled within 2 semesters.
And then a guest director. All of the shows had been directed by Professor Meany Courts, and so all of these changes came in, and having to give work to everybody meant that some of our students who were already there didn't get as many opportunities. I know that it was frustrating, but I kept encouraging you and Nicole, Nicole Scroggins, to just be patient, and then you made it known that you wanted to do some work on stage, and so I started encouraging that. I know that often when we get a good stage manager, we don't want to let them do anything else. But that was the one thing that I did.
I just saw Chrissy the
helped.
other day too. That made me think of her.
And wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You want to? I left my camera. I have a picture because I went.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It was this weekend.
Yeah. Last weekend. Yeah. So, so you listen a lot better, and I think that's where your patience came in.
It was a long time.
And you complain a lot less, because back then
he didn't say I didn't complain. You catch that.
Because back then, Nate, it was like, come on, Nate, I some things were beyond my control, and in the position that I have, as well as any staff or faculty member at a university, or if you're in a theater company, a director, artistic director, anybody that's in any level of authority or instruction, one thing that often students don't realize is that we're hearing things from more than just one person. And so I'm listening to you, but you're the person that I'm relying on a lot, because Nate was very reliable, very hardworking, and as time went on, he was taking instruction, and I could trust him to do things on his own. And that's a real hard thing for me to do. For me to leave somebody alone and not dabble into what they're doing
and not be looking around the corner to see if they're doing it right.
But I could leave Nate to do certain things, and I was proud of that. But sometimes when he was stage managing something and he would get real frustrated at an actor, or even with the directors, and our
I had a mouth issue.
And our designers too. I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes our designers worked on their own schedule, and it made it more challenging for me. So I'm trying to keep the ship moving forward, and every now and then this wave comes up. Nate got an issue. I'm like, okay. but I mean,
I think we forget that the college experience is still school. A lot of us do forget that, and I have to be honest, I didn't always remember that I was in a school setting. So you're learning, and then it was most of the times that I got that, because I got to sit behind you and Professor Jackson and Judy, and I got to sit behind people and learn. But theater is learning on the job.
Yes.
So you think of this as a job, but you forget that this is school too. So I think a lot of us, and then I wasn't 18, so it was still a totally different experience, learning and working on a job, because in theater you're thrown out there. It's no like, hey, we're gonna do this day, and we're gonna do, that's what class time is for. But production is production. You just get out there and you do.
Now where Nate learned a lot of his independence came close to his senior year, and then a few years after he graduated, because we do a lot of rentals at Coppin, and so we'd bring in outside organizations, and I would bring Nate to come and work on those. And so he got to see really, when I talk about this being performing arts, not just theater, performing a theater, the physical structure of a theater company often does more than just theater in its building. They do dance, they do spoken word, they do lectures, they do political debates, they have all kinds of activities in their building. And I wanted, before Nate went out into the world, to have more exposure to those kinds of things. And so I would call him up, and he'd come, and I would let him run backstage, because I would be up in the booth running the lights, or I would be running the sound, or I would be running the whole building and the lights and the sound. So I needed to have somebody backstage that I could just disconnect with. And also, the one thing I liked about Nate was...
This is not the Nate show, but this is making me feel good. Keep going.
What was, he was stubborn enough that if something was wrong, or if somebody came to him with a ridiculous request, let's say we had something backstage and they wanted to use it, he would say no for me. Sometimes when I have students working with me, they'll either say go ahead and use it, or they're ambiguous. I don't know, I need to find Mr. Brown. Nate could say no, and I come backstage and everything's in order. I'm like, okay. And then later he tell me, well, so-and-so wanted to use this, but I told him no. I was like, thank you. But and you kind of take that for granted when the next student comes along and they're working backstage, and you're out in the lobby trying to make sure they don't clog the lobby up with chairs and tables and things, and then you walk backstage and your student has let them pull stuff out from the rafters or get into the costume room. I'm like, whoa, no.
If you don't realize it, that was my domain. That was my headquarters, actually, at Coppin. But we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't go anywhere.
Actually, I have been like fatigued and...
My name is Ruth Rusey. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old, and this is how I live united. I say retired, but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child. And believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusey. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
My name is Meera Batra. I have been in this country 32 years, and this is how I live united. America has always been the land of promise, and in my community many families have come for a better life. Coming from another culture myself, I know the desire to become part of a community, to feel at home and to gain the tools for our children and families to succeed. So I advocate for these families with United Way. United Way empowers them to look beyond their histories and to see what opportunities are available. We help them get involved with their kids' schools, network within the community, and when we do, we unite them. We make the community stronger. What I do is something I wish someone had done for me, and I am so grateful I am able to. My name is Meera Batra. I help families see opportunities and succeed. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story, adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund.
Man, it is what it is. Man, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is.
This Fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles, and Mr. Miles the writer.
Hip Hop K, check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio at 9/11.
Coming to y'all soon.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that. Cool! That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey, girl. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Now to look at it, it is rubber and it's flattened out. There's a whole basically now. Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live on BeExposedRadio.com. It is Coppin Day. I want Sweet Baby to give us a plug for the 9th.
Yes, on the 9th, September 9th, 2017, is the upcoming Sticky Bun Festival presented by Appreciate the Arts. Our sponsors are the Artist Exchange, the radio show you're listening to now. TJ Transvision will also be sponsoring us, Indie Soul Magazine. It is a festival will be held at the Why Not Lot in the heart of Station North at North and Charles. There will be music, there will be live performances, there will be visual arts, there will be food vendors for sale, there will be food for sale, there will be merchandise for sale, but the event is free to enter. So please come. It's a family-oriented, family-friendly event. Come, bring your kids, bring your mama, your grandma, your granddad, your dad. Bring your money. And just come out and enjoy yourself. Again, that's September 9th, 2017, and it's also the 3rd anniversary of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
The official after party.
Nate will be hosting the event, so again, please come out. I'm
getting all my costume changes together now. I'm telling you, I'm be really dramatic. I never do that, but this is my first time. So, and Hollywood, give us an update on who's listening on the live and such.
Right now, who we have listening is Darlene Allen. We have Tamil Robinson. And thank you for tuning in, Tamil. He's actually also been commenting a lot, talking about...
Tamil needs his own radio show.
He's talking about, I'm going to die designing I'm going to die designing. That's my fate, like, for the next generation. So, in theater, should do the same for the inner cities.
Well, can I get a personal outfit before you decide to die? Like, this design me something, sir. But thank you to everybody that continues to tune in and support the show. Definitely, if you're listening to us, share out the show. Tag your friends. Tell everybody. It's not just for artists. We interview a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, community leaders alike. This platform is for us. Subsequently, today's show is definitely because at Coppin, I've really learned how to work in a group. I was used to going to predominantly white schools where I had to do a lot of stuff on my own, and they really didn't share as much with me. This what my job was, and that was it. But I started the Artist Exchange really to keep my Coppinites together. I knew we were all from different places, and eventually we'll all like branch out as we have. Because like I was telling Zakiya and Hollywood, no matter what urban art major you talk to, they have a totally different experience and a meaning behind the word. And that was kind of how Dr. Wilner and Professor Quartz and a number of the other pioneers or veterans of that department made it to be. I don't think that was definitely their plan, but that's how it kind of mapped out. Right. Everybody had their own experience, and it's not really a liberal arts degree, but it kind of, you bring yourself to it and you define what you want out of it. Right. And that's kind of how all of us have defined our own way, and we all are doing completely different things. And every urban art major you talk to is going to be completely, it's like a snowflake. Like, we are definitely totally different from the next, from the last, and that is what made urban art so enriching to me. Like, I was able to be myself. Eventually, I figured out how to do what it is that I wanted to do with it, and I've been defining it ever since then. And every major I've met after that, they are falling into that themselves and realizing they have to define it. You can't go to a school and expect to get something and it's prepackaged. You have to like put yourself into it, because if you don't, you're going to be doing something somebody else did that may not necessarily fit you. Right. So the Artist Exchange came out of me wanting to just keep us together. It wasn't intended for everybody. It was just intended for the individuals I actually went to Coppin with. But as I began to do more work at Arena Plays and with my theater group, Kuumba, and then as I began to direct more, I started meeting more artists, more theater artists, and more visual artists, and more musical artists, and they all began to join the group, and then that just became something that was out of control because I didn't know all these people. And, of course, the other Coppinites were adding people to it. So it grew into now it was necessary to have a radio show or events. And before we get any further, I really have to thank Mr. Brown for just being that instructor at Coppin that always supported work I did. Even when I didn't know he was coming or something, he was always in the audience. If I needed to get in the costume room or, like I told them, my first play that I ever directed, he brought the lights. And I know that took a lot for him to be able to get done, but he did it. And I didn't have the money to pay him. I think we gave you a very humble thank you gift. But we definitely, all of us collectively know the value we had in you specifically because it doesn't happen like that often. You know, most times, you know, Professor Course was always busy. She did other work. She was a mother, a grandmother, and, you know, she didn't always have time. And I'm not saying Mr. Brown always had the time, but he went beyond and made the time. So just thank you. And that's, as I talked to a lot of people about me doing this show today, it really, you kept coming up in terms of, you know, it felt more like you were one of the students, but we definitely knew you were one of the instructors and somebody who was there to instruct us. But just thank you. Like, I can't say it enough. I know I could call you just for advice, you know, if I'm directing something and I don't know how something needs to look. And one of the first plays that I directed that I actually got to take to the Kennedy Center, you were like the adjudicator for that. So that was crazy that happened because I felt comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable doing that show because I knew people were coming to judge it. So my heart was racing like extra crazy. But when I found out you were one, and he didn't go light, because I read the notes. They weren't like easy on me, but it definitely, and I knew what his notes was. It didn't have your name on it, but I knew what your notes were based on the experience. But that made that experience much more lighter for me because I knew somebody was representing me and knew me specifically, and just knew I wasn't this diva director that the organizer was painting me to be. But I just wanted things right. I wanted things together, and that was every monkey wrench that could be thrown at me. Like, the space was literally the size of this room, and we had like twice as many acts. We had more actors than we had audience.
Wow.
Like it really was, you know, it meant something to see you not only come out to it, but be one of the people that gave me a critique. And I knew you wasn't going to be easy and you will be honest. But anything else? Well, tell us about the show that's about to happen at Coppin.
Well, we did again, thank you. You're welcome, and I'm glad, again, it's about pouring into the students, and that's what I do consider you all friends now that you're out of school. When you were there, we had to have that little bit of a distance, that professional separation.
But that didn't mean you had to be apart from us.
Right.
It's definitely a difference.
And then, you know, those that came before you, like you said, Tanelia, and I can see the faces, but the names are just escaping me right now. Those individuals, because of how they took to Professor Courts, I wanted to make sure I wanted some of that love, so so I couldn't be too hard on you. But yes, you
were harder. I'm gonna be honest. You were. Amini was a grandma. You could melt her, but Mr. Brown,
he ain't play that.
I don't care how hard you worked. Like, you knew when he liked you, but there was no. Amini, I could just like be upset and she'll melt for a second, but Mr. Brown, unwavering.
I never disliked anybody. I just disliked how people worked, and that meant I didn't want to work around them anymore. And I kind of made it clear, and even to the point where sometimes I'd have to go to Professor Courts and Dr. Wilner or Dr. Hyde and say, you know, this student needs to be out. They need to be on stage, because when they're on stage, they're not under me. When they're backstage, they're under me. So they need to be on stage.
And it's important for us to know those things, and it was very apparent to us, like, what we needed to work on versus, you know, what that's the value of like an HBCU to me. And this is the same experience that I know a lot of people who went to other HBCUs had. Like, it wasn't it wasn't so much if I don't like you, we just go ignore you. I'm telling you, you're horrible. And this is what you need to know, because when you go out into the world, they're going to tell you that you're horrible. And they're not going to tell you, they're going to show you, because they're never going to use you again.
Right.
You know, and we went through some of that where we had to work our way back into good grace in times, you know, just to prove ourselves. And that's valuable, because now we're in situations where our work speaks for us, not whether somebody likes you or not, not whether you're somebody's friend. Because I remember Meanie loved me, and I know at the time I was there, I was her favorite, but she still threatened to fail me with a smile on her face. Professor Jackson, with a smile on her face, gave me a continuing study. With not Professor Day Clark, like, I didn't fail all my classes. It was just, I was more on the creative side than I was on the academic side.
Right.
But they would tell you, like, if you want to pass this class, you better do some work. I had an issue with writing. I never liked writing papers. And Professor would say, if you don't write a paper, you're done. Like, don't come to another show, don't do this.
Yep.
You need to write a paper. And that's something that you need to learn, because we're so much into being an artist that we forget that there's work to be done.
Right.
And not just putting together a set or learning lines.
Be careful, this recording can be used as evidence against you.
I'm just saying. The statute of limitations.
And a quarter
I'm grown now. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council. Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice products can cover you from head to toe, from flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia. Or give us a call at 470-488-6484. Come on in and check out Pink Ice products today.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want some gentle encouragement.
Then you're on your way to your GED diploma and a better life.
But I know they're probably just a little bit nervous. You can find it in yourself to take that first step.
You can improve your future. You can do this. I know you can.
You need to start pushing yourself.
Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up! Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need to get your GED diploma, we've got a pep talk that's right for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and find free GED classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education, brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Working or not just learning, but it's kind of the same thing. So I think I grasp things a lot easier than a lot of my kids because I'm willing to learn something, and I'm humble enough to just be patient. But I had to learn that patience because it was grueling. Like I'll be sitting there watching you do something, and it was annoying me because I just wanted my learning style is to do it, and you tell me as I'm doing it. So I had to learn other people's learning styles and teaching styles and just realize this is Mr. Brown's, this is his perspective. It may not be right for me, but let me learn this, so I'll do it. But now that I teach theater, I often use a lot of those techniques in teaching others because I'll come across a student who needs that. So, writing everything down. Eric, like I've taught him how to do what he was supposed to do now because I learned how to write, and that's tedious. I really do. I hate writing. Love writing. But writing down everything, so if you forget something, you have something to go back to and learn from it. That's what I learned from like a Mr. Brown.
And we're even more detailed now. Doing production meetings once a week, and that we didn't.
Where the students are involved in it.
Yes, yes, and so that's helped. It really has helped me because now there's more accountability. If something doesn't get done and somebody wants to complain about it, I'm like, well, let's look at our paper trail. Let's look at our notes. So
I was listening. I be taking in. I didn't always do it the right way the first time. I had to learn the hard way. But after you get it, it's in you all the time. And sometimes I don't think y'all thought we were listening, specifically myself listening. But I took heed to a lot of things, and I'm in my 30s now, just applying some of it. But I listened. I had to listen down to apply it. But there's a production going on at Coppin right now, and y'all actually have a season of shows, and y'all about to go back to school, so the season's about to start.
Yeah.
And rehearsals are already
they're
about to start. Soon.
No, auditions.
Auditions are about to start.
So auditions are Tuesday. The first show is called Suspects in America. It's a satirical look at the criminal justice system in America, kind of putting the criminal justice system on trial as if it was a person, so to speak. And it will be directed by D. Wembuy Richardson. He's been a favorite director at Coppin, a guest director. He's not faculty there, and he's coming back. Hasn't been there.
By now,
yeah, he hasn't been there for about 3 years, but he's back, and we're excited about him taking on this project. Our auditions will be Tuesday from 6 to 9. Let me double check that, but I know that they will be Tuesday on 6 to 9, and then all the auditions will just be on Tuesday. If we are not able to cast, we'll have additional auditions, but we hope to cast the show on Tuesday. So if you're interested, we're looking for males and females, and it's going to be a very good production. It's a very important production for us to have in the community right now. I'm sure that people will be sitting there watching it with some of the Justice Department's decrees about what's going on in Baltimore, the uprising that took place. There are a lot of things that people will be sitting there and filtering the show through their own experiences. So it's important not only for the community, definitely for our students at Coppin. We want to expose them to things that are addressing their concerns. We know that their experiences in the criminal justice system are not fair. They can be rather harsh, but there often are not enough voices out there, or enough ways for them to express it. So this is an opportunity for them, at least if they're not expressing it, to see that their fellow actors, their fellow classmates are in a production that does examine many of their concerns.
And it's with One Boy, if anybody knows One Boy, this is going to be really interactive.
Yes.
It's not going to be like just sit there and watch words being spoken. He is really, his One Boy, his sons were the twins, Zakiya, the two twins.
Okay.
That was his sons, and they really encompass like his energy, and I love working with One Boy. I mean, Professor Course is my heart, but One Boy made me learn instinct on stage and just have energy to just not be afraid. Like, you can't be reserved. You can't come from within. You have to use all your faculties with him. So anybody who auditions for One Boy needs to be athletic. He used to, like, we ate a lot at Coppin, so he used to make us do, like, literally exercises. My mother liked I think it was called the roach or something, where you had to do crunches. Like, you physically need to be fit for a One Boy production. Because he going to have somebody running, somebody jumping, doing acrobatics across the seats and off the stage. So, so definitely get your lungs together if you're gonna audition for it. I may come out Tuesday. I haven't.
What's the location?
At Coppin State University, in our theater lab, which is our black box space in the basement of Grace Hill Jacobs building. When you come, the best way to get there is off of North Avenue, and then the Grace Hill Jacobs building is close to North Avenue. It's the tallest building on campus. Just go in the doors off the parking lot and just follow the hallway around.
I think we have a phone call. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I was just calling because I was trying to contact you guys. Am I on the radio?
Yes, you are. Who are we talking to?
I didn't plan to be on the radio. I just wanted to speak to somebody right quick.
Did you want something? Well, you call in. The office number is 410-671-5483.
Okay, let me call that one back because I do have a time slot coming up, and I wanted to speak to somebody before it comes up. Okay, could you just repeat that number one more time because you're breaking up a little bit?
410-671-5483.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You're welcome. So call in. I forgot to say call in. 410-702-5657. Or you can text us in at 443-642-9403. We have Mr. James Brown with us, and he was just giving us the information on the auditions, which will be Tuesday from 6 to
9. 6 to
9.
Pulling it up again.
In the Black Box Theater.
I erased it just that fast.
At the Black Box Theater, it's on the lower level of the Grace Jacobs building. So either way you come in, you'll be able to get to it. Either come through the basement door or come through the front door of the Grace Hill Jacobs building. That's how you remember the names of the buildings. I passed my freshman seminar. But definitely come on out. They're looking for hip-hop artists, poets. But if you're an actor, if this is your first time, come prepared, I think, with a monologue.
Yes, you will have to have a 2-minute monologue. Here we go. And, of course, it's twisting around in my phone, so I'm going to have to turn my head sideways. They're asking for a dramatic monologue in a spoken word or rap selection not to exceed 2 to 3 minutes total.
Okay. Yeah, see, I don't have none of that.
Oh, and it's, on the flyer, it says that the auditions will be in the James Weldon Johnson Auditorium building. So it will not be in Grace Hill Jacobs. I apologize. It will be in, and it's easier, James Weldon Johnson Auditorium building is right there on North Avenue, and you go to the upper level and come in the main entrance. Everything will be set up in the lobby, and then you'll go into the auditorium, and that's where you'll do your work for them.
And that's the building right off of North Avenue. It's right in front of the circle. But don't park in the circle because your car is going to be towed.
Hello?
Hey, we got a caller. You can put your headset on, Mr. Brown.
Hello. Hi, it's Jana. Hey,
This
hey
is
guys. Hi, Mr.
Jana.
Brown.
How's it going, Jana?
It's going okay. It was Coppin Play Day, so you know I had to call in.
We got Mr. Brown here with us today.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I know. I was watching.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Brown.
How you doing?
He might not remember me. He was a long time ago.
She's a mom and wife now.
Oh, congratulations.
A lot has changed. Yeah, I think if he sees my face, he might remember me.
He remembers you. So tell us about life after Coppin. Well, Jana was another deserter. She left Coppin and went to Towson.
Whatever. I was there before you, Nathan, so let's get that straight. Let's get that clear.
I stayed. That's all I'm saying. She went off to Towson.
I love being at Coppin because by the time I got to Towson, I already knew it. I knew a lot by the time I got to Towson.
Mm-hmm.
So they were trying to teach me things. I was like, I already know. Like, so that was like great. Like just going into that situation and like just being ahead of the game. So I always had like a spot in my heart for Coppin. I love it.
But Jana actually helped me start the radio show. She's been very supportive and helping me to focus and stay here for 3 years. It was not easy because I'm used to, even as a stage manager, I was better as an assistant stage manager because I never liked sitting still. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was. I would always put somebody else on the headsets and I would be off and running somewhere. Mm-hmm. But Jana, tell me what you took from the Coppin Players experience. She wasn't necessarily an urban art major, but she definitely is a Coppin player.
Yeah, like I was at Coppin for about a year and a half, 2 years before I transferred over to Towson, and you know, just like I said, like I learned a lot. I made a lot of connections, and like just having like for lifelong friends like you, Nathan, and you know, and just you know, I got, and honestly, like even after I went to Towson, I still came back and did plays at Coppin and Arena Players, and like you know, just got more experience in the theater. So like. I just loved it, and like I said, I always like have a place in my heart for Coppin and the Arena Players. So it was just a great experience.
Go ahead.
One of the things that we're having a challenge with at Coppin is trying to quantify this experience that students are having because you were part of urban arts, and then you go out and your experiences are not easily defined by what you learned in urban arts, because as Nate said, there's so many different things that you took away from the program, use in your careers, but it doesn't mean that you wound up on the stage as an actor. It doesn't necessarily mean that you wound up backstage as a tech or designer, but we know that the students had a lot of different experiences. And if you can tell us anything that you can specifically say you learned when you were at Coppin.
Hello, I'm sorry, you break it up. Hello?
No, he was asking you what are some of the like highlights, or what did you specifically learn from Coppin, being as though you got a real good cross section of experience. And Jana's actually come full circle, because even though she graduated from Towson with a acting degree, she went off into another sector, and she's been taking on projects and jobs and titles, and she's been learning. And now, I'm not going to say her age, but she's now wanting to come back into the arena because now she has a foundation to financially support herself and her family, and now she's feeling more comfortable and more eager. Even though I've been trying to get her back into it for a minute, now Jana's back into the acting swing.
Yeah, I mean, just my experience with a lot of things that I learned while I was at Coppin, and you know, just being in the theater in general, like it creates a sense of like of teamwork, and you know, just understanding your role, and you know, using your voice, and you know, sometimes you just have to be assertive and you know, and planning and being a part of projects and understanding how everything fits together. And so it really helps me now in my career as a project manager, just being able to pull a lot of resources together and communicate with people and building teams. And so, even though right now in my professional life I'm not acting and I'm not in theater right now, those skills that I built, that I learned and I built while I started building while I was at Coppin, I can definitely see a connection, and it helps me now in my professional life.
I will say that I know and recognize a Coppin graduate that came under Professor Quartz and Dr. Wilner because of how they speak and articulate. Because I'll hear students from other places and I can't understand them. They don't project. They have no poise. They slouch. You don't see that from an urban arts major from Coppin. No, sir.
When I first got here, that's one of the things that the owner, he was like, "You're really loud." I said, "Well, I don't really think I need the mic. I think it's just, you just learn how to do it. And that's just naturally in you." So, unlike Coppin, unlike a lot of other schools, we were babied a lot. We were nurtured a lot. We were disciplined a lot. And I know that's what I took from it. And not only, so me being at Coppin introduced me to Jana at Arena Players, which Jana got me into this group, and it becomes networking, and we all need each other. So I really value, and me and Jana are the best of friends now. And we met doing a play at Arena Players, wasn't it?
Yes, the Colored Museum. That was my first
work experience out of Coppin. So it's definitely been awesome seeing Jana grow, and I can't wait to see her back on stage. She hasn't been on stage in a number of years.
Wow.
A number of years. I wish she would have brought the baby, but soon we're going to see the baby soon. But
yes.
But I do value you, Jan. I really honestly thank you for even taking the time to call in, because she's my mother of a newborn. So it's not well, she's not a newborn. She's about to be one. So she's not a baby anymore. But I definitely thank you for calling in and taking some time out.
Yes.
And I'll see you later.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to call in. And anything I can do to help you out, Nate, I'm here for you, and I'm proud of
We're going to find that out. We're about to find that out soon. All
right, I got to get going. I'll talk to you guys later.
So I believe Naima is here. She can definitely come on in. She going to make her grand entrance. Naima was one of the students that came there after I did, but she has definitely made a mark for herself. Tell her she can come on in. She does a lot of PR, a lot of marketing, a lot of event planning, and she's a mom also. Hey, little lady. Hi. She like, who are these people? So as Naima gets together, I want real quick for Sweet Baby to just give us another ninth update. Boom, 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 boom.
The Sticky Bun Festival, presented by Appreciate the Arts, will be coming to Baltimore City on Saturday, September 9th, 2017, from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Why Not Lot, which is at North and Charles. It's art festival. There will be music. There will be food, merchandise vendors. It's a free event to enter. Come enjoy free performances, but bring your money for the food, bring your money for the merchandise. And it is also the 3rd anniversary of the Artist Exchange radio shows, pretty much the after party for what's going to be going on here. Earlier that day at the radio show, Nate will be hosting the Sticky Bun Festival. Please come out. It's a family event. Bring your family and just come out and enjoy a good time.
Buy me a sticky bun. Please and thank you. So Miss Naima has joined us.
Hello.
Thank you, Miss Naima. And what's the little one's name?
This is Zara.
Hey, Zara. She's ready. You ready? But we're here. Just lean on me. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Naima. She's also a Coppin grad.
Yeah,
Urban
I
Arts and
graduated in 2010. So it's nice to be here. I'm so happy to see Mr. Brown. So I've been pretty much working independently, producing my own art-based events and other types of events. I just had an exhibit at Artscape called The Art of Ramadan. So that was a 2-day exhibit, and I'm really proud of that. Right now.
That's your first time at doing something for Artscape though?
No,
well,
that was actually our third year.
Okay.
Yeah, but we took a break for about 2 to 3 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is.
People don't know the work that it takes to do.
Yeah, I was beat at the end of that, but I look forward to doing it again. So this evening we actually have outdoor movie nights at the top of North Avenue, like the corner of North and Hilton. It's, and so we'll be showing Hidden Figures. So I do a lot of community work and, you know, just living life.
She does a lot of, like she said, a lot of events. She had started doing some marketing for the Coppin Players.
Oh, yeah, I did.
How did you get into that? Was that you were already doing events before you got to Coppin?
Right. I did a lot of. I promote my own events a lot, and so people see that, and then they invite me to promote their things as well. And so Dr. Hyatt called me, and he asked if I could come and help with some of the productions for Coppin Theater. So I did that for, I think it was like a year. Yeah.
Is that where you are now? Because I know you're still building a company. Where's your company going?
Right now I started a nonprofit. So although I still do events for profit, I'm starting to focus more on...
Because that's important, because that's how you pay the bills.
Yeah, in addition to a regular job.
Right.
So with my nonprofit, it's called In Life Community, and we've been doing a lot of just community events and workshops for life enrichment and things like that.
And like I said, this is another urban art production major, completely different, you know, and I was telling everybody how every urban art major is completely different from the first, from the last, from the next. So what was your experience being an urban art major?
I came into urban arts because I think first I started looking for media arts, and then I learned about the urban arts program, and I wanted to get into arts administration. And so I did the macro track, which is just, I guess, a general, it's not focused on theater or anything. You kind of get a little bit of everything so that you can learn more of the business side. And so that's what has helped me in my career, just working with different artists and producing events. And so the stage management and all those things came in handy. But my experience was really great. I enjoyed it a lot.
And I was going to say that she is a hard worker, so if anybody out there is looking for somebody to manage their events, you can. Yes. I can tell you that you're going to be in good hands.
Thank you.
I've been looking for a manager. I'm just saying, you know, we know each other.
Okay.
But I definitely, what were some of the highlights in being there? Did you ever want to, like, maybe I'm going to get on stage?
I danced on stage, so I
that was
did
for class. That
okay.
Count.
Well, I mean, no, I've danced outside of that too.
Okay.
So that was my interest in that as well. Like, I don't call myself an artist, but I have a lot of talents in the arts. I just don't pursue them for myself. I like to be more behind the scenes.
It's always good to know it, but especially when you're doing events, because you never know. As a stage manager, your biggest thing is, like, I might have to go whole book at some point. And you know if you've read that script or not, if you're ready. But I really value all the urban art majors that I've come across, because I'm always interested to see, like, what are you doing now? Or, like, how did you take this? And because we were frustrated at the school because we didn't know. We thought this is what you become. Like, this is what urban art major. It wasn't a definition for it. And that was what the best part now, looking back, of it was. Like, there was no definition that you could fit into. Like, when you become a doctor, you're learning to be a doctor for this specific reason. As an urban art major, what is it that you want to be? That's the first question that they ask you. And then that's how you define urban arts. I went to many of the 470 classes, and I watched quite a few students try to figure that out and get caught up in trying to define it for the teacher versus for themselves. But I've also seen a lot of young people, like, I think I came to your 470, y'all did your group presentation, and everybody was able to define it for themselves. And that's the importance of trying to figure out what you want to be.
Yeah.
And that was what was so good about the department for me.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't
the hard
a box.
part for me, though, because I never... I never have an answer for that question.
Because you had to define it for yourself. That's very hard.
I'm still defining that.
Right. And there's no right or wrong answer
Right.
that, you know, and Willa wants you to get the paperwork correct. But Dr. Willa never tells you what to be. You know, we've gotten hints as to, I think you are best over here, but you still have to define your own part. And you said that was the most difficult for you?
It is.
Why was that?
Because
Did you look for a box to fit into, or?
I can't fit into any box. Like, I feel like if I wanted to be the artist, I don't have enough talent to be the artist, but I have enough to just enjoy it and like participate a little bit. You know, so like that's why I just fall to the background, you know, and just play the administrative role.
After I left Coppin, I went to WEB, the Women's Entrepreneur of Baltimore. But it's an organization to help any entrepreneur become a business. And the lady kept saying, well, what is it that you want to do? Like, what do you do? And I say, well, I'm an actor. I make jewelry. I'm a stage manager. She was like, so what is your business? So I called it the Artist Exchange. But she said, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm an actor. Like, you can't define it. But you have to, I've learned how to, and I say this a lot, what is the common thread that goes throughout everything that you do? Like, what is your goal that is kind of like, oh, you do all those things for what? Like, what are you doing it for? And you can't say, well, I want a car, I want to be able to help my family. Those are the benefits of being able to reach your goal. But you have to definitely figure out what's your ultimate goal. So if you want to own your own cultural arts center, if you want to be the next big event mogul, but what is that for you? PR, marketing, like what is a term that you can encapsulate everything? And we at Urban Arts was like, I'm an urban art major. I don't know, like, and then you don't want to choose like just acting because you know you get bored doing that. So what do you do it? And the lady at WEB, I know after that hour-and-a-half meeting, her head was hurting because I kept saying the same thing, like, well, I do this, I do this, I do this. Yeah. She said, well, those things will help you pay for your goal. What's your goal? Well, I want to be an actor, I want to be a jewelry designer. And I just kept repeating the same because I didn't want to choose. And if I chose something, then that left out everything else until I learned how to create a bridge, and that's where it kind of connected. So we're going to go to another commercial break. We got to pay bills here. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show only on BigExposedRadio.com.
Big Exposed Radio. Definitely not taking responsibility for other people's emotions and things that's going on, and owning up to who you are. I know that's what you were finishing on. So you can speak more on that, sister.
Yeah, just making sure, because at the end of the day, what happens to us, especially women, we're nurturers. So by life, you know, we tend to want to, I call men projects, like fix-me-uppers, people that come with issues. And for some reason, I mean, people, we all have issues, but people who, like, want you to help them through their issues, you know? So we take on projects because we get to the point to where we're like, okay, I just want to have somebody, as opposed to the quality of the person that you're getting. And then we start to own all of their issues, and we start to feel bad because things are not progressing the way that we want it to, you know, and that's not fair to us. So we can't own somebody else's stuff. If somebody's not ready when you meet them, that's not your fault. That's theirs. It's their loss. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, what's up? It's the man you all know and love, E. Digger, the host of the Charm City Direct Radio Show. Make sure you catch me and my crew every Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
What's up, y'all?
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin' Street? Girlin' Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
I was to go back into rehearsal and you tell me it was never a no. Like, I knew physically I wasn't any good for this meeting. I wasn't even hardly paying attention because I could not focus. So,
from my perspective,
we
I
back
think,
on air, by the way. We back on air, by
yes,
the way.
Yes. From my perspective, I think it's about.
Well, let me ask a question first. I asked during the break to Naima and Mr. Brown and Baby and Hollywood, when did you say no? As a student transitioning into a professional adult, when do you start saying no to the stuff that's just placed in front of you to do, and you begin to carve out your own path?
For me, and I would recommend this to anybody, is you have to, in a way, start to define your hemisphere, because you can't be on the surface of the earth everywhere. So you really can't be everything, but you have to begin to define your hemisphere. And sometimes it starts with where you're going to work.
Do you remember that question when I asked that question?
Yes.
Okay.
And I for me, it's now become African American theater is my hemisphere. That's really where I want to work. It doesn't mean that I won't work in other arenas, but this is where I have been groomed. This is where I feel I need to nurture young people. And if it bleeds into dance and visual art, if it bleeds into politics or anything else, it's going to come from the perspective of someone that works in African American theater. And you have to let it happen organically. It's a word I've been using a lot lately, is you have to just allow yourself, let your mind, don't stress about it. And if you wake up one day and you thought you were going left and you wound up right, it is okay. It is okay to go left if it happens organically.
Who I asked the question to, and it was a room full of professional. We had Doug Goldman and Jeff. All of them were in the room too. They came to be a part of it. I didn't ask the question to be like arrogant or literally. I was 20-something years, probably like 23, 24, and I felt overworked. I wasn't getting paid. All this was free. You know, I was getting education out of it. I was getting opportunities from it. But I felt it was too much. Like, I didn't know how to say no to Kaumba. I was still, they were starting to ask me to do stuff outside of working with Professor Coors at Arena Players. I was still working at Coppin. And then other people started asking me, well, can you do this for me? And then Mr. Brown was giving me paid gigs. So I couldn't say no to them. So at what point, like, I remember asking that question and being very frustrated at the answer, and then frustrated at the leadership in the room looking at me strange. Like, why would you ask this person? Because I was in them. Everybody else was asking him, like, fluff questions, like they wanted him to get them a job. And I didn't care about that because I was already working. So, but I wanted to know, at what point do I isolate and, like, really direct my attention towards what I want and not just picking up everything that I could grab hold of.
I know when we first started, you know, talking to each other, that was one of the first things that you told me. You can't take everything that he said. You told me you're going to be presented with a whole lot of opportunities, but I can't take everything that's falls in my lap, and then I have to start discerning what's best for me. And I've taken that advice and I've narrowed down a whole lot of what's right for me and according to what my plans are and what I plan on doing.
And that answer came from me walking out and Mr. Brown and Doug Goldman following me out and saying that was directly what the two of them said to me. And I was like in my feelings, and I was like, how do you, like, I'm paying you to be here, you gonna give me some BS, and then Professor Coors and all these people looking at me strange, but I was faking it a lot. Like, I just made it look, Nathan was always, literally, from day classes to evening to night, and then going to work at midnight, I was always at Coppin, and I was like, wouldn't you say no? Like, how do you? But I was still making everything else happen, and I just think nobody understood how tired I was, and I just didn't know. So that answer came directly, and I used that from Mr. Brown and Doug saying that to me. You say it when you feel it. Like, when it's a no, I can't do that.
Yes.
You know, and not, because I would do yes, and I would be late for Coppin's rehearsal, or I couldn't go to class because I had said yes to this. And that's when things began to, like compile, and things were starting to fall down, and people started to question how talented I really was, or how dedicated I really was, based on me being available. And I would just be late to this thing, and I would leave early from this thing, and my integrity was starting to be at question. That's when I learned, and that was probably months after that question was asked, that I'm going to say almost a year or so later, that I learned how to actually say no. I can't do this. This was interrupting schoolwork. It was interrupting everything. And it's still, and I'm going to say, it took years for me to actually start saying it. I started doing it quickly after, but it was still years later that I actually implemented it into everything. Because I always, whenever I met you, I had 3 or 4 flyers to show you from something I was doing, and I didn't and then I started doing stuff at the church, so it was this.
Oh yeah,
everything.
Yeah, right.
Like, when do you learn it? So we actually coming to a close, and I'm gonna let the two of them ask you their final questions if they have a question, and then we can give you our final question for the day.
I just really enjoyed on the show and everything, and learning and actually taking everything you were saying. And so the things you said, I'm actually going to apply it to how I live and everything.
You're welcome.
He gonna put you to work. Don't say that.
I don't mind working.
I'm over here thinking.
Okay. Right.
Yes, thank you both for coming out, Mr. Brown. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for giving Nate that gem, because, like I said, it was one of the very first things that Nate said to me, like. And I did, so it's great to meet the source of that knowledge, because I've applied it, and I've since I'm just starting out and on my journey in the autistic world publicly, so it was an important gem. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So our question that we normally ask at the very end is, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
Oh goodness.
You've heard this question before.
My 17-year-old self, I would say just stay focused and get through college in 4 years.
Don't take the winter semester off.
Don't get distracted. Don't get stay focused, really, because that was my issue.
Those events will come again. Say no. Thank you. Mr. Brown?
My answer is, don't be afraid to open yourself up and love, because it is what allows you to take a chance. Sometimes you hold back. Sometimes you let fear guide you. But when you walk in love, it allows you not to judge other people. You can see them who they are.
And they see you for who you are.
Right. And when you allow other things, whether it's hate, whether it's selfishness, whether it's whatever it could be, those things begin to eat away at you. So you have to walk in love.
Y'all want to answer that? I know it's been a minute.
That's my favorite. I've been doing this now for about a month now. That's my favorite answer to this question so far. Like, that's one of my creeds that I live by. If it's not out of love, then and not even necessarily, love is about just giving and giving from a place that's just pure, like that's just what you're driven by.
Yes.
And that's my favorite answer so far. I loved it.
Same question?
Yeah.
Mine, I would say, don't stop. Don't stop. Let your failures be your stepping stones to your success.
It's how Denzel Washington. And I'll just go last, but mine is just communicate from the heart, and just stay open, and don't let fear keep you from it. And you can't fit into anybody else's box. I think I came up at a time where they needed more black men in the school. They needed more black men in the health career. So, of course, my first two majors were I was going to be an RN and or a teacher. And I did not feel comfortable sitting in the classroom. I didn't like blood, and I didn't like seeing people die. So why would I pick those fields? But learning to really go with your instinct. We all knew what we wanted at a very young age. And it's hard to stick to that because they'll stop after 16. People stop asking you what you want to be.
Right.
Sometimes before that now. So stick to those things. Cutting up clothes and painting on your bedroom wall, like stuff like. Stay focused on those things because normally those are the things that are at the core of who you are. And you'll do other things to pay the bills and keep a roof over your head, but maintain what you really want to do after you get off of that job. So I think that's kind of encompassed. So this has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show, the Urban Art and Production Takeover for the day.
Hey, Coppin.
Shout out to all the urban art majors that have been texting me. Riga, and I know Kyle is busy, and so on and so forth. So definitely stay tuned, stay locked in. The next show up is Charm City Direct. This is the last show for the month. So when you reach us again, we'll already be 3 years old. Our anniversary is actually on the 5th. Actually, it's on the 14th of August, but officially my first show was September the 5th. But we're celebrating it on the 9th of September, so definitely stay tuned. We got some surprises. If you want to be a sponsor, and we still have room for you to be able to join the swag bag, it's simply $25 to put your business cards, or if you have trinkets or you want to put some of your work inside the bags, hit us up, the Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com, or you can call me up directly, 443-839-0118, and let me know. Let's be a part of it. So I'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m., same time, same place. Thank you to my co-host, my engineers, and shout out to all the many people that make this possible on a daily basis. Peace out. Pew, 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 pew.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair